Hi everyone. Oh, so, Hi everyone. My name is Andrea Jacob. I will be moderating today's discussion. I'm so excited to be here. I am a second year health sciences student at McMaster University. And before we begin, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm super passionate about gender equality and specifically girls' education. I serve as the co-director for gender equality for the World with MNR, and I also am the co-founder and co-president of Girl Up McMaster. So welcome to our discussion with the filmmakers of the incredible documentary we just watched, Miriam and Naval. They are twin activists, journalists, filmmakers, and the co-founders of their incredible nonprofit, The World with MNR. So we're gonna dive into questions when both are ready.
Thank you so much, Andrea. We're really excited to be here.
So let's begin. Number one, how did you both begin your activism journey?
So our activism journey actually began in our home country of Pakistan. We're originally from Pakistan, but grew up here in Canada. And when we were around 8 years old, we visited our village and a school in our village where our grandmother had actually donated the land to have a girls' school built. And we met the girls and we learned more about their dreams and aspirations and immediately became friends. And it was amazing to be able to see and meet both of them or all of them. But we learned that some of them were actually going to quit school when they reached grade 5 because they would have to work to support their families. And this shocked us and we resolved to fix the issue. And so over the next 5 years at first, we went every time on family trips. We worked with the girls, held workshops, did trainings, and inspired the girls to continue their education. So it was a journey that started when we were just 8 years old, as Miriam mentioned, and it has been going on for more than 10 years now. And it has been amazing just seeing the girls actually go on to pursue their education in high school as well. And we're just so honored to be a part of that journey. I think just recognizing that, girls are so passionate about their futures, but they're not necessarily given the opportunities to do so. And there's different issues that girls face in different communities. And so just that was what started our activism journey. And not only did we do work in Pakistan, but we also recognize that there's lots of issues here in Canada that we can work on locally when we're here as well. And so we just, tried to take action in a variety of ways in different communities. And that's really how it started.
That's incredible. Our next question, why is girls' education such an important issue, especially during this time?
Yeah, so amid COVID-19 especially, we're finding that inequalities are being exacerbated and worsened, even from before the pandemic. And the status of gender equality is worse than it was before, and so we're losing progress. And the one way to combat that is if we make sure that girls are educated. Because when girls are educated, they're able to spread that to their communities. They're able to make sure that they use their knowledge to combat climate change or other issues because they're very community oriented and they'll be able to pass that on to their children if they choose to have them. And so it's a very the impact is much more than just one girl if one girl is educated. And so we find that amid this time it's really important to be investing in education and technology access and all the tools that these girls will need to be able to succeed in education. Yeah, and particularly in our own community, in our village in Pakistan, what we're seeing is that when girls are educated, they're able to really inspire other people to pursue their dreams as well. Not just when they're older, I guess, or if they have children of their own, but also just their siblings and other girls in the community. They can really act as leaders. And that's what we've been seeing. So when we started doing our work, a lot of those girls are older now, going on to high school, and they're encouraging other girls in the village to pursue their education too. So just the number of children in that school, so as you were showing in the documentary, has gone up, and there's 100 children now. And while during COVID-19 they're learning from home or remotely, it's still amazing to see that a lot of them have been inspired to pursue their education. And so especially right now as we recover and build back better from the pandemic, we need to encourage education more than ever.
Amazing. And on the topic of your incredible documentary, which was so moving, can you tell us a bit more about the premise of the film?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, at the beginning of our activism journey, we did it for around 5 years, went back to Pakistan in 2015, and we were able to learn that some of those girls actually went on to high school. So it was really, really exciting for us, and that inspired our work here in Canada as well. And then we weren't able to go back to Pakistan again until 2019 when we made this film. And so we knew that we wanted to cover the stories of those girls and make sure that we were doing more work in person. And so we finished high school a semester early. We went back to Pakistan Pakistan, and we filmed for around 2 months. And so we held workshops, and then we also wanted to cover in the documentary just the status of girls' education and gender equality in general in the country, covering the challenges and then also what individuals are doing to help combat this issue or make things better. What we found was that there's not only people, in our own community, in our village, but also people all around the country that are doing such amazing work. And we were so honored to be able to feature their stories and see whatever they're doing in their own communities and just see the diversity again, like even within one country, in different parts of like Pakistan, there's so many different issues that girls face, as was discussed in the film as well. And there's different reasons that, prevent them from going to school or pursuing their education. And addressing them requires local community-based efforts and grassroots efforts as well. And we really wanted to highlight that as part of the film. And also our film was meant to give hope, because we know that a lot of the times, the Pakistan that we see in the media, especially, in countries that are not necessarily, or people that are not necessarily Pakistani themselves or haven't necessarily spent the same amount of time as we have, there's a certain look that they give to the country, and it's not necessarily like entirely reflective of what's going on all the time. And the focus is too much on like the negatives and like all of the, I guess, the challenges that the country faces. And of course there are challenges, but there's also such amazing work that's being done to combat those challenges. And we really wanted that to be the focus, because we believe that that really instills hope in people and allows them to want to get involved with these initiatives and really make a difference themselves too. And that was really important for us in the film.
Oh, so incredible. So what inspired you both to make this film?
Yeah, I think our passion for storytelling, as much as our activism, we find that when people connect with stories, they're able to look at challenges and go beyond just statistics, and which is unfortunate, right? Because like when you hear about like millions of girls that are out of school, like eventually people start thinking that these challenges are too big for us to resolve, and they stop connecting with these numbers as much. And so that's why you need stories of the actual people being impacted, so that individuals are able to recognize the challenges and then also want to do something about the issues as well. Yeah, and I think that goes back to when we started our nonprofit, The World of Them in Art, and it was initially just a media platform, and we started it again in 2015. That was such a big year for us in terms of the work that we did. But I think it was, we went to Pakistan, and when we came back, our teachers nominated us for the Governor General's Caring Canadian Award, and it was such an honor that we received the award. And during that time, a lot of young people were asking us that, got to know about our story, like, how can we get involved? And that's why we started using social media as, a tool to really raise awareness about the issues that are going on. And, it started 5 years ago, but up until this point, we've done so many different types of, I guess, mediums and doing storytelling that really, I guess, tells people not only about the problems that exist, but also how they can help. And this documentary was just an extension of that, and just that desire that we had to use storytelling as a tool to really tell people about the ways that they can get involved and make a difference too.
You both are so incredible. What was your favorite part of the filmmaking process?
I think the best part was that we were going on a girl-powered road trip around the country as we were filming, and so we didn't mention this inside the documentary. And you may not many people would have noticed this, but we when we were filming, we had our mom, our cousin, and our aunt with us, and the five of us girls, like or women, we were going around the country whenever we had interviews to do, when we were looking at different projects, when we were trying to film at different locations throughout. We were just driving around ourselves and trying to explore and discover and figure these things out. And we didn't have like a team of like, men around us for like protection or anything like that. Because sometimes people really have that misconception that, I mean, although like perhaps it could be dangerous sometimes, and there's been incidents and stuff, like we don't find that in our journey, which we've been so grateful for. But this also demonstrates how, like, there is a space for women in storytelling in Pakistan, and it's a possibility. If that's what you want, if you want to raise your voice and amplify it through storytelling as a medium, go for it. And we were so like amazed at the experience of like just going around, the freedom you have, right? Like you can just go around whatever the location is, you can go at your own pace and just have a lot of fun along the way. And so that was our favorite part of the filmmaking process.
You both made such an incredible film. So what tips do you have for aspiring filmmakers?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest tips that we have is, look at the stories that you know and you're really familiar with, because then you bring yourself into the project and you bring a perspective that someone coming from the outside in won't necessarily be able to see. And that's why we started with, our first feature-length documentary film, which was this movie. We started it in our community that we had been working in like for so many years, and we really wanted to be able to tell those stories that we had gotten to know of for such a long time. And I guess in that process, like the people that you're filming, whether it's like, little children or, their parents, they're more comfortable with you as well. And they understand that, they can trust you with their stories. And you've built that trust over so many years. And I think that's a really special element of filmmaking, when you can do that and when you can make people comfortable on camera or feel that, there's someone that they can trust their stories with. I think that was something that we really recommend other filmmakers do as well. Find places in your own community that you've been working in, or like that you're really familiar with, because then those individuals will want to share their stories with you as well. And obviously we had a chance to go to other communities as well, and explore places that we had not been to before. But I think that it's amazing to start local and in your own communities, and then once you have done a project that you're really proud of, then you can move on to other places as well. And it's just really incredible what you can do. So believe in yourself as well throughout this process, because we didn't necessarily have like all the fancy tools and equipment that filmmakers have these days, or that a big crew would have. We were a smaller crew, but we had a lot of passion for this project. And once you have passion, you can really pursue anything that you would like.
Amazing. I'm sure we have so many activists in our audience as well today. So what advice do you have for our aspiring activists?
I think the best advice that we have is to combine your activism with your passions, and then just like go from there. So a formula that we like to share when we're talking about activism is talent plus cause equals change. And so for us, just an example of how we apply this in our activism, we're really passionate about storytelling, and we like to think that we're talented at filmmaking. So that's our talent. And then the cause that we're really passionate about, or one of them, is girls' education. And so we combine those two to make this documentary about girls' education, and then we screened it all over the world. Now it's virtual, and sparked conversation around like how we can take action, what the status of girls' education is in Pakistan. And so we created change in that way. And I think that as activists, sometimes if you want to get started, especially, use this formula to guide you and reflect on what you already know and what you're already passionate about, and then go from there. I also think that if we're already activists, there's room for us to reflect on our work right now too. Like where can I have the most amount of impact? And we always recommend starting small and local with one issue, and then you can always expand from there. We started just with the girls in our village and working whenever we went on family trips, and then when we were back home in Canada, we would like always be thinking about like how we could make sure those girls went back to school. But it was that one thing, and now our activism has expanded, and we have a nonprofit, and it's over like much more wide ranging, and like a lot more issues as well. And so especially at the beginning, sometimes it can get overwhelming. And some like a message that we shared in the documentary as well is that this idea, just because the problems are so big doesn't mean that we can't do our part to do something to resolve them. Because sometimes we think like, it's not going to make a difference, my little part of like my contributions are not going to make that much of a difference, and so I'd rather not do them at all. But if everyone started thinking that way, we just have like more than 7 billion people in the world sitting there and doing nothing about the challenges that exist. And so we need more people like you. We need people who are passionate about these issues, who want to take action and make a difference. And so it's definitely important and definitely possible too.
Amazing. Thank you both so much for being here for screening your documentary. It was incredible. You both are incredible.
Thank you so much. And it was really awesome having this interview with you, Andrea. Thank you so much for joining us. And to everyone watching, be sure to tune in for tomorrow's UNGEI at 20 sessions on various topics, including technology and innovation for gender equality, a self-care and activism workshop, and a session on feminist movements and leadership as well.